A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
In just a moment, X-1. But first, here's an important date to remember. It's this Sunday when the highly acclaimed program On the Line with Bob Considine premieres on NBC Radio. Behind each news event is a human interest story. And beginning Sunday, you can hear these fascinating sidelights with commentator Bob Considine. You'll also meet the important people who make the headlines, people from the government, labor, and management, or perhaps someone in your own hometown today. The latest news becomes more meaningful when you understand the human interest. So make a date to hear On the Line with Bob Considine. Now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, The Old Die Rich by H.L. Gold.
The uniformed cop at the door told me to get lost. But Lou Pape spotted me and told the man to let me in. It was a shabby room. They always are. There was a woman on the bed, an old woman with white hair, thin enough to show the tight-drawn scalp. The medical examiner was going over her as if she were a side of beef that you had to put a federal-grade stamp on.
When are you going to stop taking this ham friend of yours around to these cases, Sergeant, just to gratify his morbid curiosity?
Forget about Weldon, Doc. What did she die of?
Not eating, malnutrition.
Oh, now look, Doc, in the top bureau drawer, she had bank books showing $32,000 from 5 different banks. Now, she had the price of a meal.
Malnutrition induced by senile psychosis. They starve because they're less afraid of death than digging into their savings.
I don't know, Doc. It doesn't feel right to me.
Listen, Weldon, just because you get up on a stage or on some half-baked television show and make believe you're 70 years old doesn't qualify you as an expert on gerontology.
Maybe not, Doc. But I went bald at 25, and I've been playing old men ever since. There's a lot more to it than just shuffling around and talking in a high-cracked voice.
Yeah, there hasn't been an actor since Otis Skinner.
Maybe. But the way I work, I have to get inside the character. I have to decide when he was born, how he got along with his father, where he went to school, what he thinks of women, everything about a character.
There isn't a one of them these days can make themselves heard past the 5th row.
Look, I'm serious. Now, I've tried imagining myself growing weak from hunger. I've tried to think of not even spending a nickel to keep me from dying. I just don't believe it. It isn't right. I don't feel it.
Well, lucky for me, I don't have to feel these things inside of me because I'm a doctor and not an actor. Sergeant, malnutrition induced by senile psychosis. I'll order the wicker basket from Bellevue. So long, Barrymore.
Well, he's right, Mark. We get a couple of these cases every year. Some old bat starving to death with $17,000 in old bills pinned on his union suit. Turns up all the time.
Al, it doesn't feel right.
Well, he knows his business.
But he doesn't know old people. I do. It isn't easy to starve to death. Not when you can buy day-old bread at the bakery or wilted vegetables the grocer's ready to throw out. Anyone who's willing to eat that stuff can stay alive from day to day. Hunger is it's a pretty potent instinct.
Maybe they get too sick to go out after old bread or wilted vegetables.
It takes weeks to die of starvation. Did you ever try starving for weeks, Lou?
No, did you?
Well, the point is somebody would find out, a janitor, a landlord, somebody, and they'd get him to a hospital.
Forget about it, Mark. Can't argue with it. Here there were 5 bank books, $32,000.
Yeah, she took good care of them. They look almost new.
Sure she did. Most important thing in the world, huh?
April 23rd, 1907, $150. The ink's pretty dark. Shouldn't it be faded?
She probably never took it out in the light.
Anyone ever think of testing the ink?
Well, what for? Bank's records always check. These aren't forgeries, if that's what you're thinking.
Well, I'd like to get a chemist working on this ink.
Ah, now, Mark. Look, this is strictly against regulations. I got to take these books down to the squad room and sign them in.
Pretty dark ink for 1907.
Well, it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I guess I could hold them over tonight and bring them down to the property clerk in the morning.
Good. I know where I can find a chemist.
Mr. Weldon, there's no doubt of it. The ink sample is typical of inks used 50 years ago. 1907 would be about right.
There, you see, Weldon? I was supposed to go to the Trotters tonight.
But according to the amount of oxidation, it's fresh enough to be only a few months old.
There, I was right.
Well, couldn't that be the result of unusually careful handling, though?
Oh, yes, I suppose it could. An airtight compartment, perhaps, sealed with one of the inert gases or a vacuum. That might account for the lack of normal aging.
Lou, you can't keep inert gases in a top bureau drawer in a 4th floor walk-up.
Yeah. Well, it's probably some simple explanation.
For fresh ink, half a century old. I've been going out on these cases for about a year. It's my specialty, playing old people, and when I'm not working television or something on Broadway, I go down to the homes for the aged or the parks or just watch. Lou Pape's an old friend of mine, and he put me on these malnutrition cases. But there was more to it than just picking up color and tricks of the trade. There had to be a better reason for it. You can't just starve to death with upwards of $30,000 right at your fingertips. Not without at least buying a bowl of soup. I had a run of television that kept me busy for about a month. Then Lou Pape called me up and asked me to come down to Bellevue.
I'll autopsy if you want it, Sergeant, but I can give you the cause of death right now. Malnutrition due to senile psychosis.
What's up, Lou?
Well, Mark, an old guy was found wandering around down on Hester Street. Suffering from malnutrition. He had $17,000 in cash inside the lining of his jacket.
Is he alive?
No, not now he isn't. Doc's got him in the room there, but he was stumbling around when the cop on the beat picked him up.
Did he say anything?
Well, he talked to the cop. Pretty smart young kid. Seems the old man kept talking about money and about his wife. She must have been dead 20 years. And then, just before he went out completely, he did say something, maybe 3 or 4 times.
Well, what was it?
El Greco.
You mean the artist?
Well, that's what Stankiewicz said. He's the officer who picked him up. He said he remembered he'd heard the name on that television quiz program. You know, the jockey who's the art expert.
El Greco.
Probably some Greek restaurant where he was bumming his meals. Are you sure you want an autopsy, Sergeant? It's late. I won't get to it till tomorrow.
All right, take your time, Doc.
There's something else, isn't there, Lou?
Well, maybe, Mark. We found the old guy's room, and there was an ad thumbtacked over the sink. Nothing too unusual.
Yeah?
Here it is.
Men and women wanted, like work suitable for old people. No references required.
Well, I checked it with the lieutenant. He says to forget it. He says it figures for an old guy to be interested in an ad like that.
An old guy with $17,000 in cash?
Yeah. Well, I didn't figure I'd argue with the lieutenant.
You mind if I keep it?
No, go ahead.
It was an old brownstone house in the East 80s. I got in line with the rest of the applicants. My face was lined with collodion wrinkles, and I wore an antique shiny suit and run-down shoes. It was a good makeup job. I looked more authentic than the rest of the old-timers who were waiting for the interview. I finally came up to where a woman was asking the questions.
Name?
Kernet. Louis Kernet. Kernet.
Mm-hmm. Address?
Well, I don't exactly have a place. I've been staying with a fellow down on 12th Street, a friend of mine. I met him in the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm. Previous occupation?
Well, I worked at a lot of things. Used to be a printer way back. I could handset...
Do you have any references?
Well...
Family?
No, ma'am. I haven't got any family. I had a cousin in Salt Lake City, but I haven't seen him in 30 years or more. The ad said you didn't need no references.
Well, that's right. Now, will you wait in the other room?
Yes, ma'am. Do I get the job, ma'am?
Just wait in the other room.
I shuffled into the other room and sat down to wait. I concentrated on building a character for Louis Kernet. If I was going to carry this through, I was going to have to play a better performance than I'd ever given before. About half an hour, a young woman came into the room. I'd planned to be dozing the way an old man would, and so my eyes were closed when I heard the door close. When I opened them, I was looking into the barrel of a .38 revolver.
Are you awake now, Mr. Weldon?
Huh? Ma'am?
I don't think you need to carry on anymore. If you need any further convincing, you are Mark Weldon. You're about 40 years old, and you played this same character on television about 6 weeks ago. You played it fairly well.
Thank you. Would you mind putting down that gun?
Yes. Why did you apply for this position, Mr. Weldon? You're not old. Not really.
Well, as a matter of fact, it was a bet. I was having an argument about the method with an actor who trained at the old Vic. I bet him that I could get by off the stage.
Yeah, well, don't bother. You've been very busy recently trying to find out why senile psychotics starve themselves to death.
How did you know that?
Well, I happen to know that you've been present at several police investigations into these cases, and you're a good friend of Sergeant Lou Pate.
Well, you know a great deal more about me than I do about you.
Well, I would be glad to enlighten you. My name is May Roberts. I'm the daughter of the late Dr. Anthony Roberts, the physicist, who was dismissed from the Brookhaven Atomic Energy Laboratory 5 years ago.
I assume you're connected with these starvation cases, or you wouldn't have known I was investigating them.
Well, that's obvious, isn't it? I'm not afraid of professional detectives, Mr. Weldon. They deal only with facts. I don't like amateurs. They guess too much. They don't stick to reality. Consequently, they're likely to get too close to the truth.
Unfortunately, Miss Roberts, I'm nowhere near the truth. I haven't the slightest idea how you're tied in with those starvation
Well,
deaths.
I intend to show you, Mr. Weldon. I'm happy to announce that you have the job.
Now, look...
Don't move, Mr. Weldon. Oh, incidentally, about 15 minutes ago, I called Sergeant Pate and told him I was your sister just in from Pittsburgh. I wanted to get in touch with you very badly, and Sergeant Pate was very sorry. He wished he could help me, but he didn't have the slightest idea where you were. All right, Mr. Weldon. Right ahead of you, please. Through that door.
She didn't look like the kind of girl who would forget to hold the gun on me as I went down the hall. So that's all I did, just go down the hall. I climbed up to the 4th floor to a large room. There was a maze of electrical equipment bolted down, tubes and wires and dials. In the middle of the room was a wire mesh cage. She kept that gun on me, steady as a rock. She began to set readings on the dials and flip switches on the control panel.
It'll take about 5 minutes for the field to build up, Mr. Weldon. Please get in the cathode area.
You mean that wire cage?
Go ahead.
All right.
Now, I wouldn't advise moving now, Mr. Weldon. The wire carries some 10,000 volts.
Now, look, Miss
Mr.
Roberts.
Weldon, you're curious, and you could turn out to be a great nuisance to me. As long as you've come this far, we might as well both benefit by it.
Benefits?
You'll find a suit of clothes on the floor there. Put it on.
But after all...
Put it on.
I didn't know whether she was bluffing about the electric charge, but the revolver looked real enough, so I stripped and changed into the other clothes. The shoes were a little too tight and pointed. The collar of the shirt was too stiffly starched and too high under my chin. The suit was too narrow at the shoulders and at the ankles. I remember my father had a suit like that. The same shiny blue serge.
All right. In your pocket, you'll find a set of envelopes. You'll find a set of instructions on each. Follow them carefully.
I don't get it.
You will. Use the envelopes in the order they're arranged.
What's this all about?
Mr. Weldon, I meant it when I said this could be a benefit to both of us. There's no use explaining anything. You'll find out. And don't try to escape. It can't be done. All right. Now the field generators are ready.
Look, Miss Roberts, this is absolutely...
Just follow instructions, Mr. Weldon.
I blinked. I was standing outside a bank on a sunny day in spring. I stared at the people passing by. They were dressed like the characters in a 1930 movie. The women wore long dresses and flower pot hats. Men had hard straw hats, suits with narrow shoulders. Cars were square with flat radiators in the front. There was a trolley car passing by, and suddenly I realized that the last trolley car stopped running in Manhattan years ago. I tried to figure it out. It was New York, all right. I recognized some of the buildings. First, I figured it must have been hypnosis. And then I looked at the first of the envelopes in my pocket. I read it and walked into the bank.
Yes, sir. Our Mr. Golden tells me that you wish to open an account.
Yes, that's right.
Uh-huh. Well, we're very happy to have a new depositor. Very happy indeed. Of course, you realize the institution is in sound condition, very sound. You needn't worry about all those rumors in this bank. No, sir. Solid.
Well, that's good.
All right, now then, name? Mark Weldon. You have no address in the city at present?
No.
And you're depositing $150?
That's right.
All righty. I'll just check the slip here. $150, right. And the date, May 15th, of course, 1931.
31? The Depression.
Oh, now, Mr. Weldon, this is a very good year for business. This temporary recession is bound to abate. Sound banking policies will see us through. It's just around the corner, you know.
What is?
Prosperity. All right, Mr. Weldon, we're very happy to have your account.
I went outside the bank, and I stood there in the spring sunlight and let the terror soak into me. The possibility of the entire situation was gnawing at the edges of my mind. And then suddenly I wasn't there. It was as fast as blinking. I was outside another bank in the same city. The date on the next envelope was May 29th, and it was still 1931. I made a $75 deposit there, and then $100 at another place a few days later, spending a few minutes each time and going ahead anywhere from a couple of days to almost a month. In 1934, I found myself inside a broker's office.
Very well, Mr. Weldon. As I understand it, you are buying this stock for a Dr. Anthony Roberts.
That's right.
I assume the stock will be in his name?
That's right. I'm just acting as agent. I follow instructions.
Of course. Well, are you sure I can't convince you that you're making a big mistake?
No, these are my instructions.
Well, now, Mr. Weldon, we are a reputable brokerage house, and, well, frankly, I feel quite shaky about putting our clients' money into this kind of security. There's no future in it. It's a rare metal for which there is very little use for industrial purposes, and, however, if your client is adamant.
I have my instructions.
Very well, then. In the name of Dr. Anthony Roberts, 100 shares of Montana uranium. Most unwise.
It went that way about 50-50. I'd deposit money in my own name in various banks at other times. Then I'd buy a stock or make a bet for May Roberts. On June 21st, 1932, I bet Jack Sharkey to take the heavyweight title away from Matt Schmeling. There was Singing Wood in 1933 at Belmont Park and Max Bayer over Primo Carnera. I went on skipping through the years, touching here and there for a few minutes to an hour at a time. It was in early October 1938, about 5 hours after I left May Roberts' house, before I realized what she had me doing. It was making deposits and winning sure bets, just as those senile psychotics had done. The ink on their bank book seemed fresh because it was fresh. Wasn't given a chance to oxidize. At the rate I was going, I'd be back at my own time in a few hours with $15,000 compound interest in cash. But those old people had died of starvation somehow with all that cash in banks. I didn't know how it happened or why. But suddenly it occurred to me that I didn't want to be found dead in my hotel room. So rather than make the deposit in 1938, I grabbed a cab and told the driver to step on it. I got a mile away from the bank, and then the cab suddenly disappeared. Found myself in front of a counter at a lunchroom. The envelope instructed me to make a bet on the World Series. There wasn't any way to get out of the range of the machine. It picked me up at least 5 miles away from where I was supposed to be. Came back a week later to get my winnings. I was hungry, so I got myself a hamburger and went out the door. When I hit the sidewalk, it happened again.
Don't touch the cage yet, Mr. Weldon. I'll have to clear the charge.
Hey, what happened to my hamburger?
What?
The hamburger. I had it here. It's gone. I'm hungry.
I'll get you something to eat, Mr. Weldon, before your next trip. Well, you've done pretty well for yourself, haven't you?
Yes, I have. About 15,000. I had ketchup on my sleeve. It's gone.
Mr. Weldon, I want to talk seriously with you. Now you've seen part of what I'm doing.
Part?
My father was discharged from all his research and university connections because he insisted in publishing his findings on the temporal field research. All the conventional physicists explained that it was overwork and recommended everything from hot bouillon before retiring to psychoanalysis. Well, possibly both of these might have been beneficial. But the fact of the matter is that temporal field activities are quite true, and you've seen proof.
Well, I suppose I have.
So it seemed just a question of money, although obviously I can get all I need now.
But sending people back through time to bet on sure things like uranium...
It's a fair exchange. I pay well for service, don't I?
I suppose so.
But that isn't the most important thing. I've been able to save things that would have been lost otherwise. I've sent people back to find precious treasures that would have been destroyed or would have disappeared.
Like an El Greco painting?
Yes. And the original score of Mozart's Magic Flute that would have been burned in 1942, and a Picasso miniature that would have been lost at sea in 52. I have them all here.
Stolen?
No. Bought with money from the year itself at a fair price. Well, Mr. Weldon, I sent you back because I've needed someone to work with me on a regular basis. Someone who's faster and more alert than the old people I've hired till now.
Why old people?
It's a function of the field. You can't send somebody back to a year in which they didn't exist at all.
I'm hungry.
Please, Mr. Weldon, this is very important. My father died trying to prove the validity of his field theory to conventional scientists, and I don't intend to bother. We can become the most powerful people in the world.
I don't feel very powerful now. You haven't got a sandwich hanging around.
I want to make you an offer, Mr. Weldon. I need someone to help me expand the operation, plan the projects and research. I chose you because I was afraid that you might hit on the truth by yourself.
Can I come out of this cage
Be careful.
now?
Don't touch the contacts. The field reacts on a random factor for at least an hour after it's cut off.
I'll be careful. Tell me, Miss Roberts, why haven't you been able to go back to the time that your father was alive and bring him back before he died?
Dead tissue can't be transported. We tried it with mice and rabbits from a laboratory in 1941, and they just disappear.
Like my hamburger.
Mr. Weldon, I assume that you're interested, and that we can make our plans without using this revolver.
I hope so. $15,000 is a lot of money. Of course, you were able to send those old people back a lot further.
Some of them as far back as 1880.
How long would they be gone? I mean, in subjective time.
Several weeks. Perhaps a month or more.
There's only one problem, Miss Roberts.
Well, I'm sure we can work out any details.
Well, this one is a little hard to work out. You see, I'm hungry. I haven't been this hungry since I got lost on a hunting trip and went without food for 3 days. You see, you forget I've got an interest in this business because they found some old people dead of malnutrition and $30,000 or so tucked away in their pockets. They had been gone a month or more, and they had to eat during that time, didn't they? When they came back, the food disappeared like my hamburger. It disappeared all at once, all over their body. In one fast jolt, they starved to death.
No, you don't understand. They just couldn't take the field transition. They were too old, some of them, and they lied to me about their age to get the job.
Oh, no, you can't tell me that because I know how hungry I am. And I was only gone about 12 hours. They were murdered.
Get back.
You know, they say a hungry man gets mighty desperate. He'll do almost anything. Let go. Let go. Let go of it.
Oh, my arm.
Look out. Look out. The cage. The contact. She fell into that cage and disappeared before she hit the ground. I didn't know what happened. I know she said the field worked in a random factor, whatever that meant. I called Lou Pate, and he came to the house just after the fire started. Something went in the control panel, and it turned out to be a 4-alarm fire before they got it under control. There was nothing left of the machine. There wasn't much left of the brownstone house. Lou didn't believe the story I told him.
You mean there won't be any more of them? No more senile psychotics starving to death with a bankroll in their hip pocket?
No, I told you, Lou.
Come on now, Mark. We'll get plenty more. We always have.
No, I'll bet you won't. I'll bet you $1 there won't be another case like that.
I'll take that bet.
I lost the bet. There was one more case, and perhaps it was the strangest one. A woman was found wandering in Bryant Park just before she died of acute starvation. One strange thing was she was young, not more than 30. And the other was she had $17,000 stuffed in her pocketbook and a bullet wound in her arm the medical examiner said was at least 2 months old. I guess that's what she meant by the random factor.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features This Way to the Regress by Damon Knight, the story of a man named Sullivan who, strangely enough, did not have a great future behind him, but rather a great past ahead. Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. In a moment, tonight's cast and a preview of next week's exciting drama. Farmers know they can't stop storms, floods, or droughts from ruining a crop. But they can make sure things like that can't ruin them by investing in United States savings bonds. Not only farmers, but over 40 million Americans in all sorts of jobs own 40 billions of savings bonds. And why? Because savings bonds are the easy way to start saving and to keep saving. And the money you invest in savings bonds mean protection now and ready cash when you need it in the future. Improving the farm, sending the youngsters to college, or planning your own retirement. These are the big things you can be ready for with savings bonds. And besides offering you a safe investment, each Series E savings bond pays you back $4 at maturity for every $3 you invest. Yes, you earn extra dollars while you save, so start saving now. For the big things in your life, be ready with United States savings bonds. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Old Die Rich, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by H.L. Gold and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Jim Bowles, Jan Miner, Bill Zuckert, Guy Repp, Wendell Holmes, Ralph Camargo, and Ivor Francis. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Bob Maurer and is an NBC Radio Network production.
In just a moment, X-1, but first...
A familiar theme that introduces some of the sweetest music this side of heaven, the music of Guy Lombardo and his Royal Canadians. And beginning Monday, July 30th, NBC Bandstand brings you live 2 full hours of your favorite tunes by Guy Lombardo, Tommy Dorsey, plus wonderful arrangements by Freddie Martin and Wayne King. It's 4 top bands in person, joined by sparkling personalities like Burt Parks and Johnny Mercer, your Mr. Music. Remember, July 30th for the premiere of NBC Bandstand.
And now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast-off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, Adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus one.
Tonight, The Stars Are the Styx by Theodore Sturgeon.
They call me Karen. It isn't my real name, but it suits my job. Karen, you may remember, ferried dead souls across the river Styx of Greek mythology. I ferried dead souls from the planet Earth out into the unknown of space. My little satellite station is known as Curbstone. I've been here for 20 years. Yes?
Karen?
Oh, Tween. What is it?
There's a ship landing from Earth.
Is it the regular shuttle?
Yes.
Okay, we'll check the candidates as soon as they're in.
I'll fill out the reports for you.
Thank you. Oh, Tween.
Yes?
Close the door a minute, will you? I want to talk to you.
Yes.
How long have you been here on Curbstone?
Oh, I don't know. I think 2 years.
Approximately. And you've been helping me here in the office for almost a year and a half. Have you thought about going back to Earth?
Well, yes, I thought about it.
And?
Well, I couldn't. I'd rather die. I just don't seem to belong there.
You'd rather stay here and wait?
Yes.
Even though you may never become certified for space?
One day it will happen.
Perhaps. I almost hope it won't.
Oh, don't say that.
Well, the shuttle should be coming in soon. Maybe this trip there'll be somebody aboard for you.
I have a feeling there will be.
I suppose I ought to explain a little about Curbstone at this point. We're a stopping point. Well, a jumping off place would be more accurate. We get people from Earth who, for many reasons, cannot remain there. Some are antisocial, criminals of a sort. Some are misfits, individualists who cannot adjust to the rigid standardization. Some are just different. People who are physically different and who have been ostracized as a result. And a few are poets. Those who have souls too big for the confines of Earth. They come to Curbstone and wait to be certified for space. And it's my job to send them out.
They're waiting.
How many this trip?
2 men and a woman. One of the men...
Yes?
Nothing.
Oh, I've known you too well to be fooled. Why, you're practically glowing. Did you speak to him?
No.
But you think perhaps he'll be the one to choose you?
Well, I think perhaps the way he looked at me.
How?
Well, he didn't think there was anything funny about me. He just looked.
There is nothing funny about you.
Oh, you're trying to be kind.
You should know me better. I'm the original Billy Goat Gruff.
Oh, I do know you better. You have a kind heart.
Enough of that. Ask them to come in. One at a time. I watched her walk to the door, and I thought she was beautiful. She was, but not in a way acceptable to the eugenics department back on Earth. Tween was an albino. She had silver skin and hair, and ruby-colored eyes. If I hadn't been such an old, fat fool.
This way, please.
Thank you.
This is the senior release officer. He'll check you in.
Thank you, miss.
Your name, please.
Well, don't you know it?
No, I'm afraid I... Judd! Good Lord.
Hello, friend.
Judson, after all these years.
I understand they call you Karen.
Yes.
Well, good. I'll call you Karen.
Well, what in the name of misery brings you to Curbstone?
Oh, I'm a candidate.
But you, of all people, you had a good position and enough money. You didn't get into trouble, did you?
Oh, the sort.
Of what sort?
When I was your student at the university many years ago, you taught me to enjoy my individuality.
Huh.
I tried to teach my students the same thing. The authorities wouldn't stand for it.
I see.
So I decided to take my chances in space.
Are you aware of the risk?
Well, not fully, or I probably wouldn't be here.
Well, then let me acquaint you with the procedure here on Curbstone. Look out that window. What do you see?
It looks like a spaceship on a launching platform.
Exactly. That ship is aimed at the outer galaxies. It has enough fuel to reach its destination and land, but not enough to come back.
I see.
The people who come here to Curbstone have to be certified before they can take off in one of those ships.
Well, how does one go about being certified?
There are 3 requirements. You must pass a physical examination and a mental examination.
And the third?
You must find an agreeable partner for the trip.
A partner?
A partner of the opposite sex who is willing to share her life, or death, with you from now until eternity.
That could be rather difficult.
When the Earth authorities agreed to Operation Curbstone, it was decided that it would be a method of colonizing the outer galaxies with Earth people. Therefore, these ships are built to carry 2 people.
I see. Well, suppose I choose somebody and she doesn't want me.
You wait.
Just suppose I pass the physical and the mental test, and I even find a partner. Suppose we get into the ship and are launched into space. What are our chances?
Come here. This board shows a light for each ship that is en route in space. There, you see that one? That's a couple named Fort and Mary Ellen. They went out together last week, headed for the Deneb systems. As long as the light shows, they're all right. They haven't been destroyed by radiation or piled up on some asteroid or gotten into a time warp. We know from our years of launching couples here on Curbstone that 46% of them never make it.
And of those that make it?
We don't know. They have the equipment for survival, of course, but who knows what they'll meet on some strange planet.
And still they go out, huh?
Still they go out.
When do I take the examinations?
Well, you can start tomorrow if you like. I'd like to talk over old times with you right now, but I have to check the other 2 passengers you came up with.
Certainly.
Tween, would you come in, please? Tween assists me here. She, too, is waiting to find a partner for the trip.
Yes?
Tween, this is Judson. Judson's an old friend. He was a student of mine many years ago.
I'm very happy to meet you.
Yes, I know you are.
Tween, tell the others to come in, please.
Yes, sir.
A remarkable girl.
Remarkable looking, at any rate.
Well, Tween will tell you where your quarters are. I hope we'll talk soon.
Well, I hope so. Oh, by the way, that light on the board, Fort and Mary Ellen?
What about it?
Well, it just went out.
I was happy to see Judson. My memories of our association were pleasant ones. As he left, the other 2 passengers came in. The man was young, dark-haired, and slick-looking. His name was Wald. The woman, well, she takes some describing. Her name was Flower. Her voice was like a cello, and her figure was a walking demand for the revival of the now extinct profession of Peeping Tom. Let me be honest, I didn't like either of them. That takes care of your documents.
How long will it take us to be certified?
Well, that depends. If you pass your test, it can happen in a week.
And suppose we don't pass our test?
You might be here a year, 2 years. There's no limit. You can keep taking the test, or you can return to Earth.
Earth? Oh. Well, is there anything to do up here? I'm in excitement.
That depends on what you consider excitement.
Anything we haven't already tried. Isn't that right, Wald?
We decided to come up here, Mr.
Call me Karen.
Karen. How quaint.
Anyway, we decided to come up here because we were bored with the routine on Earth.
You're aware of the risk involved?
You mean we might not make it? Well, that's life, isn't it?
Well, for some. For others, it's death.
I don't like that kind of talk.
You'll attend an orientation session tomorrow. I'll have my assistant show you to your quarters. Twin.
Yes?
Come in, Twin. I want you to meet Flower.
How do you do?
And Wald.
Well, Curbstone is exciting already.
Something different, darling?
Oh, shut up.
This is Tween. She'll show you where you live.
Oh, a pleasure. A distinct pleasure.
There was something decadent about Wald and Flower, something almost reptilian. I couldn't believe that these two would ever step into a ship and risk the trip to space. Of course, I could be wrong. Boredom drives people to risk many things. At the session the next day, I watched my three new arrivals. When it was over, I stood talking to Judson. Well, still want to go out?
Yes.
Picked out a companion yet?
Oh, yes.
Really? Well, you haven't met anybody yet.
I've met the person I'd like to go with.
Mind if I ask who?
Your assistant, Tween.
You don't disappoint me, Judd. I fell in love with her the first time I met her, too.
I haven't even talked to her yet, except to say hello and where's the commissary, but there's a quality about her like, well...
Like a cool breeze on a hot summer's day.
Well, you are smitten.
At my age, I can afford to be romantic.
Oh, excuse me, am I interrupting?
Not at all. Judson, you know Flora.
Yes, we met on the ship coming to Curbstone.
I wondered if you were busy.
Me?
You.
Well, not really. No.
Good. Then you can take me down to the recreation room for some methyl caffeine.
Well, I don't use it.
That doesn't mean you can't take me.
Well, you're Mr. Wall.
Walt and I are just very good friends. Besides, he's busy right now. He's being shown around the satellite by this gentleman's assistant.
Tween?
That's her name. The peculiar one. Coming, Judson?
I guess so. You excuse us?
Certainly. When I saw Tween the next day, there were stars in her eyes. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're laughing.
Am I?
Your eyes are.
I'm happy.
Good.
I think it won't be long now.
Before what?
Before I'm certified.
Oh?
I've met someone who really likes me.
I see.
Can you guess?
No, who is it?
Well, you know the dark-haired young man who came in yesterday with your friend Judson?
Wald?
Mm-hmm. We went down to the ship together, and he asked a lot of questions about it, and then we started to talk about us. He says he's wasted his whole life flitting from one diversion to another.
Really?
Now he says he's looking for something with some meaning.
You like him?
He isn't afraid of me. He doesn't see anything wrong with my being different.
I thought he was with Flower.
Oh, he says he and Flower travel together because of habit. They're both bored and looking for something. Or someone.
Well, as long as it makes you happy.
He kissed me. Do you know that no man has ever kissed me like that?
You enjoyed it?
Oh, yes.
Did he say anything about going out into space with you?
He said he could think of no one he'd rather go with.
And when is he going to sign the certification?
Well, he felt we ought to get to know each other better. For a while, anyway. He's right, don't you think?
Yes, I think it would be better.
Karen.
Yes?
I love you very much.
Why did you say that?
Well, because it's true. I mean, there's something so kind and understanding about you.
Don't let it fool you. Underneath, I'm the same as anybody else.
No, I don't believe it. Why, they picked you for this job because you have such compassion. You could never hate.
Could you?
I don't know. I never have, but well, now I don't know.
That's because you're in love. You can't love really unless you can hate.
I don't believe that.
Oh, I just invented it to sound as if I knew the answers. Come on, I'll buy you a drink to celebrate the big event. I watched her sip the drink, the tones of her skin coming and going with the pulse of her blood. I thought to myself, you're going to be hurt, Tween. You're going to be terribly, terribly hurt. And I wondered if perhaps she didn't know it. Well, Tween, another couple out into space. Maria and Clint. Will you record it and have another ship brought up to the launcher? Tween.
What? Oh, sorry, I was thinking of something else.
Wald?
Sort of.
How long has it been now?
3 months.
Long time, huh?
Well, wants to be sure.
And you? Are you sure?
Oh, yes.
Nothing to do but wait, then. I have to go over to the Hull Division. Will you take over?
Yes. Sometime I, too, will be speeding through space, and I'll be a tiny light on this board.
Hello there. You mind if I come in?
Oh, not at all.
Where's Fatso?
Karen? Oh, he isn't that fat.
Well, he's fat enough. Where is he?
He went over to the Hull Division.
Yeah, this is a nice layout.
Did you come to see me or the layout?
You know I came to see you. Matter of fact, I wanted to talk to you about something.
Well?
The party tonight at the rec center.
Well, what about it? We're going, aren't we?
I can't make it.
Was something wrong?
I'm meeting somebody else.
Oh.
Flower.
I see.
Oh, come on, now don't look so hurt. Flower and I have bummed around together for years.
Well, I thought she and Judson...
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Well, they spend all their time together.
Oh, you don't know Flower. She likes to experience new things. When they get to be old, she tosses them away. All except me.
And you? Do you like to experience new things and toss them away?
Look, I'm sorry, Tween, but it's just the way I am.
Like Flower.
Like Flower. We're two of a kind.
Would you do me a favor?
Why not?
Make it a clean break. Don't try to see me again or tell me any more lies, even though I want to hear them.
Okay.
And thanks.
Thanks.
For these 3 months, even though they've been make-believe. At least I've had them.
Well, I'll see you around.
Yeah. I'll see you around.
Hey.
Oh, Karen. Karen.
Oh, no. Just let him flow.
He doesn't care about me. He never has.
I know.
And he's going back to Flower.
I know. I saw him leaving.
Oh, what'll I do? He's the only one who ever wanted me.
No, not the only one. Now there are two of us. The question that kept going through my mind was, what next? How long was Walt going to hang around Curbstone before he decided to go back to Earth? I couldn't believe he'd have the guts to go out into space, but I had underestimated Flower.
Well, the prodigal returns.
Don't make funny remarks.
Tell me, darling, what brings you to my room at this late hour? Could it be that you miss me? Or has little Miss Tween given you the heave?
Shut up and give me a drink. And don't act so self-righteous. You've been having your fling with this Judson character.
My. Jealous, too.
Oh.
I thought you and I agreed a long time ago we'd never make any claims on each other.
That was a long time ago. Frankly, I'm getting bored with this satellite. Let's go back to Earth.
I'm bored with Earth.
Well, we'll go someplace else then.
I am going someplace else.
Where?
Out. Space.
Oh, come on now, don't be ridiculous.
Oh, I am not being ridiculous.
Do you know that only 46% arrive? And if you get there, heaven only knows what kind of monsters or poison atmospheres get you.
I know, but there's a certain thrill in the risking.
Oh, and when did you start feeling poetic?
Since I started talking to Judson.
Listen, Flower, don't try to trick me. I know you too well. You're 100% too selfish to risk your pretty skin for some poetic feeling.
Well, listen to me. You and I have been together for years. We're very much alike. Now I'm telling you that I intend to go out. I want you to sign my certification and come with me.
You're mad.
No. I think maybe if we get away from everything, out there, we'll find each other.
Oh.
We'll have a chance to love and be decent like ordinary human beings. Oh, well, don't you see? We've been destroying ourselves for years. We're getting older now. Oh, please. Please try to see it. A clean start, a new life, huh? Well?
This fella Judson has really been filling your ear, hasn't he?
He's a kind person. He doesn't think I'm worthless.
You kill me, girl.
Walt, would you come with me?
No. If you want to wreck yourself, go ahead. And who, pray tell, thinks enough of a cheap character like you to sign her certification?
Judson.
What?
He said he would go out with me. And I intend to go.
I certified Judson and Flower that same evening. They were going to leave at midnight. I was working late. Come in. Well, Flower, I thought you and Judson...
We're not going. At least, I'm not.
Oh?
Judson decided he didn't want me along.
He did?
Here. He left this note for me. The story of my life. Nice girl, but who wants to marry anybody like that?
Let me see. I'm going alone. Don't try to stop me. It wouldn't work. I'd always look down on you. Judson. It doesn't sound like him.
Sounds like every man I've ever known. Except Wald. Wald doesn't judge me.
Except Wald? Where's Judson now?
Locked in the ship. He's leaving at midnight.
3 minutes. Listen, you wait here.
Where are you going?
See if I can reach that ship before it's too late. A man of my size and age shouldn't run, especially when he has a bad valve in his heart. But I covered the distance to the takeoff ramp like a track star. As I hit the edge of the ramp, I heard Tween's voice screaming at me from the control tower.
Karen, look out! You'll burn! Karen! Look out! Karen!
I reached the door just as the rockets were beginning to warm up inside the ship. There wasn't any way to get in except to blast. There's only one way to stop a ship from taking off once the combustion chambers are operating. You have to get the dampening rods into the chambers and stop the chain reaction. It took a lot of beef, but I've got a lot. I looked around the control room of the ship. Judson was strapped into the pilot's chair. The controls were preset for automatic takeoff. I went over to him. He was dead. His head cracked like an eggshell. Judd, I know you can't hear me, but I swear to you, I'll get the one who did this.
Really? Don't move. I have a gun on you.
Wald, you're a pig. You're a living human pig.
Thanks for the compliment.
To take the life of a man whose only act against you was that he wanted to help Flower?
I can't afford to lose Flower.
Don't you think you've lost her already?
Not at all. She thinks Judson is going out into space without her.
Oh, I knew he wasn't capable of writing a note like that.
It doesn't matter.
Just how do you expect to get away with this?
Quite easily. Judson isn't going out alone after all.
Meaning?
He's going to have a companion. You.
It won't work, Wald.
Once the ship is headed for the stars, there won't be a shred of evidence.
Okay. You've got it all figured out.
That's right. Now turn around.
You have the gun. All I've got is this. Stop it! Stop it! Fat men can move amazingly fast, Walt.
What are you going to do?
Do? Nothing much. I'm just going to certify you, Wald.
What?
For a flight into space. There are things you can do to a man if you know enough physiology. Pressures on the nerve system that can immobilize him for hours. I did them to Wald. Then I set the controls of the ship again and went out. I was breathing hard. It took me a long time to make it up the steps of the control tower where Tween was waiting.
Karen. Oh, Karen, I was so worried. I thought you'd be burned. And then when Walt went in...
I'm okay. Just let me sit down a minute.
What happened?
Nothing much. I had to stop Judson from leaving alone, that's all.
But why?
Well, Wald decided to leave with him.
What?
That's right. He finally repented. He knew that if he stayed around, he'd just make you unhappy again. So he asked me to stop Judson until he could join him.
You mean he did...
Any second now. There go the engines.
He had a spark of decency in him after all. I knew it.
Yes. In a way, he's a sort of hero.
The ship is trembling now. There they go.
Maybe she knew, maybe not. Anyway, she had loved a man, and now she could love another. She came over to me and leaned over and kissed my mouth. Her lips were cool. Then I knew that I could live with the viciousness of what I had done. When you're old and fat as I am, the kiss of a young girl can make you human again. They call me Karen. They forget what it feels like to be denied two worlds instead of one. And they forget something else, too. Karen was more than a boat pilot. He was an executioner.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features a story by Theodore Sturgeon, The Other Man, which tells of the hardest decision a man could face, to do his job well and thereby aid his bitterest enemy. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Stars Are the Styx, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by H.L. Gold and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Craig McDonnell, Patsy O'Shea, Dick Hamilton, Charlotte Manson, and Bob Hastings. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Bob Maurer and is an NBC Radio Network production.
The music of Freddie Martin, live weekday morning starting Monday on NBC Radio.
Down in the inner prison cells of the magic island of Euclidia, the little Gregory party is beginning to realize that their escape from the island will not be as easy as it was the first time. Their lives are apparently in no immediate danger, though the Euclideans have many ways of making life unpleasant for their prisoners. And one of these methods is now being tried on Captain Tex Bradford. When the captain went into the steel corridor to answer a knock at the door, Joan felt that something was wrong, as the Euclideans do not knock on prisoners' doors. Her fears were well-founded, for Tex was slow in returning, failed to answer their calls, and then a Euclidean ray gun was heard. We find Mrs. Gregory, Jerry, and Joan standing over the unconscious captain as he lies in a crumpled heap on the floor of the corridor.
Oh, Tex, what have they done to you?
One of those ray guns. I could hear it plain as day.
We know that, Jerry. The important question is, what type of ray gun?
You know something of these guns and their actions, Joan. What would you say?
The reaction is the same to all types of ray guns. There is no way to determine how long the captain will remain asleep.
Asleep? Are you sure that's all he is?
Joan, are you positive Tex is only asleep?
To be sure, Mother. Surely you must know something of the action of the human body, even in a world so woefully lacking in scientific understanding as yours. And the beat of a pulse must be the same, whether it beats in California or on Euclidia.
Oh, pretty wise, aren't you, Joan? Well, maybe we should have noticed that ourselves.
Of course we should have, Jerry. But I'm so nervous I'm not thinking clearly.
Well, gee whiz. How long do those big guns keep you asleep?
The larger ones will incapacitate the average human for the space of an earthly revolution.
24 hours?
As time is computed in your world, yes, Mother.
Well, I wish you'd get it into your head that we're figuring things our way. And when you mean 24 hours, say 24 hours. Don't wander off taking the sun for a stroll around the earth to let us know how long you mean.
If your understanding persists in wallowing in the depths of such ridiculous child's play, I will confine my remarks to the more simple combinations of phraseology.
Yes, do that. And stick to what we're talking about.
Joan, dear, is there nothing we can do to make the captain more comfortable?
But he is not uncomfortable, Mother.
Well, it seems rather awful to me. But if you say he isn't suffering any discomfort, we may as well carry him to the bed in his cell and let him rest easily until this wears off.
Okay, Mrs. Gregory. You take his feet, and Joan and I will take his head.
We will find him very heavy.
Tex isn't a small man to begin with. And now that he's in a sound sleep, why, I can't even move his legs.
I'll bet you can't. I'm not having any luck just trying to raise one of his arms.
We will not be able to move the captain for some time.
What's the matter, Joan?
Magnetic paint.
Magnetic paint? Where?
On the captain's hands and face and clothing.
Oh, I know that. But where did it come from?
Yes, Joan, dear. How did that magnetic paint get on Tex? We've been right with him, or at least one of us has, every minute since we came in here.
Yeah. How do you answer that one?
Was not the captain alone when he came out here to answer a knock on the door?
Yes, he was, but that was only for a minute.
60 seconds encompass a definitely valuable element of time to the active mind.
Well, maybe I'm a little slow upstairs, but I still don't see how Tex got himself all covered with the static enamel and laid out here on the floor, all in 1 minute, and without even opening that door.
Opening the door? I wonder.
You are thinking very clearly now, Mother.
Well, how do you figure anything so clearly thought out in that?
Mother was mentally questioning the opening of the door.
Yes, Joan, I was. That door opens in, toward us. And from the position in which Tex is lying, I should say that he could not have opened the door. We would have heard it close again.
Golly whiskers, you're right.
I believe Mother is correct. That door was not opened.
Then where did that paint come from? Yeah, and how did they shoot him with that ray gun?
The paint would be very simple. As you have observed, this transparent steel is fabricated with countless small holes. The paint might well have been sprayed through one or more of those holes.
Why, so it might.
It might, but I'll bet it wasn't.
Jerry, you do not know what you are saying.
Let Jerry advance his theory if he has one, Joan, dear.
Thanks, Mrs. Gregory. Well, I didn't exactly mean that the paint didn't come through one of those holes. I meant that I didn't think it was sprayed there by anybody.
But how else? Oh, you mean the paint was injected through the steel by some automatic device when the door opened.
That's my idea.
And you are more than possibly correct, Jerry. Though if you are, we are in a more dangerous position than I could have believed.
Well, come on, give us the bad news.
I believe that Captain Bradford was sprayed with magnetic paint and that the ray gun was fired when he touched that door to open it, and that no human hands had a part in it.
Then that is the Euclidean method of guaranteeing our safe confinement here. But why should they bother to do that with guards roaming their corridors? We couldn't go far enough to do their mad island any damage.
They don't take any chances here. Maybe they wanted to take a little nap and wanted to make sure we'd all stay here while they slept.
Hardly anything so elementary as that, Jerry, though you made a step in the proper direction with your reasoning.
Well, go ahead, Joan. What's your idea?
It is more than an idea. I think the reason we are now being guarded entirely by scientific devices is necessitated by the absence of all human agencies.
Absence? From where?
I believe we are now the only human beings on Euclidia.
What? Joan, dear.
I mean just that, Mother. I believe we are alone on the island.
But these 250 Euclideans, or whatever they have in this crazy place, where did they all go at once?
I'm sure it isn't obvious to me, Joan. We're prisoners here, perhaps the most utterly helpless, hopeless prisoners in the world today. We can't harm them, and G47 knows that. Why should they escape from us?
Not from us, but from some outside danger threatening the island.
You mean somebody might be attacking the scientists right now?
I mean someone might be attacking this island, believing the scientists were here, yes.
But, Joan, what you're suggesting, we may be here, all alone, somewhere in the depths of this fantastic island, and at this moment the island is being threatened with destruction.
It is possible, Mother.
But, gee, Mrs. Gregory, here's Captain Bradford lying on the floor, sound asleep and magnetized there. We can't move him, and we couldn't get out of here if we did.
Joan, surely you must be mistaken.
Why do you say that, Mother?
How often have you told us that Euclidia, this magic island, as Jerry named it, was impregnable, and that it was impossible for any nation in the world to destroy Euclidia with the weapons we now have? What about that?
Yeah, answer that one, Cleostra, and let us in on the secret.
I do not wish to be called Cleostra.
Okay, Joan then, but let's have the answer.
We of Euclidia are the greatest scientific organization in the world, in the universe. And we have the utmost faith in our ability to cope with and overcome anything developed in the crude laboratories of your world.
Huh.
Nevertheless, our very perfection in science has taught us that the only true science in your world is mathematics. And your eccentric methods might lead to an accidental discovery of something unheard of in a colony where everything is perfection.
That seems slightly ambiguous to me, dear.
No, Mrs. Gregory. I know just what Joan means. She's afraid somebody in our world might stumble onto the answer just because he was a dumb amateur. And these guys here wouldn't be ready for it because it wasn't figured out like a smart scientist would do it.
Then our position appears to be that of having no choice but to hope that nothing serious happens to this island.
That is my view of the predicament.
You sure take a sour look at it.
And there's nothing we can do about it?
Nothing, Mother. When we heard the tapping sound which Captain Bradford interpreted as a knock at this door, it was merely the automatic electrical devices actuated from the central control chamber, taking over their positions as mechanical guardians of our chambers.
Then there wasn't anybody at the door at all?
No one.
Is there any way of being sure that the island is deserted except for ourselves?
If the automatic controls are active, there is no Euclidean on the island.
And to find out if these things are still working, we've got to open that door and get shot with a ray gun?
No, that would be very silly, Jerry.
It is the only way. The island is no longer moving. That would seem to indicate that it was impossible to change the location of the island quickly enough to escape the impending attack, and that the scientists have retreated to observe the action from the ocean floor city.
From the what?
The ocean floor city.
Joan, these Euclideans have other quarters?
To be sure.
Under the ocean floor?
Yes. It requires but a few hundred seconds for everyone on Euclidia to seek refuge in the walled city below the ocean floor. And the principal control and chemical systems are taken also. Entire rooms are submerged as units. 600 seconds is the time required, I believe.
Oh, boy. 10 minutes to take everything valuable from this island into an underground town?
I'm forced to believe that, Joan, after all the other things we've seen around here. But I'd just as soon not learn any more of the power of these men. It only makes our position worse.
Our present position is not particularly enviable indeed.
And then some. We're in plenty deep.
We are on the 9th level of the island.
That wasn't what I meant, but it'll do.
I'm going to try opening that door.
I wouldn't.
No, Mother.
I'm going to open that door. I can't stand helplessly still and let all these things around us go on merrily on their way.
Well, the only difference will be that if you open that door, you'll be asleep. And you wouldn't know anything about all these things that are going to keep right on merrily on their way just the same.
You will accomplish nothing, Mother. And as Jerry has said, we will be deprived of your conversation and advice.
Conversation that doesn't accomplish any more than ours has done isn't very profitable. And I haven't a single word of advice to offer. More than that, I have a small idea. And the only way to put it into use is to open that door.
Very well. Stand back, Jerry, so that we will not be put to sleep if Mother insists on doing this foolish thing.
Okay, Joan. Go to it, Mrs. Gregory. Gee.
Peculiar.
Well?
Was that your idea, Mrs. Gregory? Did you have it figured out?
Well, I wasn't any too sure, Jerry. But the thought occurred to me that there was at least a possibility the ray gun could only act once.
Of course. How stupid of you not to think of that, Jerry.
Huh? Me? What about you?
I was more at fault.
Never mind worrying about who thought of it. We have the door open and nothing has happened to us. Now, what is the next move?
Well, it's a cinch we can't all go out of here and leave Tex there on the floor alone. So how about Joan and I taking a quick look around some of these passageways before any of those Euclideans get back?
I'm not sure, Jerry.
I think it advisable, Mother. You remain with the captain, and Jerry and I will attempt to learn more of our position here.
Very well, then. Oh, but you will be careful, dear, won't you?
Hey, look out!
Oh, close the door!
What is it?
Full of water!
Oh.
Help me slam this door, quick!
Oh, it's too late, Jerry. It's too late.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, while the Man of Steel proceeds toward proving Sam Robbins' innocence,
crooked political boss, Big George Latimer, learns to his unhappy amazement that Joe Martin may recover.
Hello there, gang. This is your pal Dan McCullough. Say, which would you rather collect? Model airplanes, full-color pictures of birds, or comic buttons to pin on your jacket or your beanie cap? Well, you don't have to choose between them. No, sir. From now on, you can collect all three kinds of those swell prizes. Because right in your next package of Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine cereal, you'll find either a colored cardboard model of a famous fighting plane, one of 7 in the great Pep Air Fleet, or you'll find one of 24 beautiful color pictures of birds with a full description so you can identify these birds anywhere. Or you'll find one of a grand series of 18 colored comic buttons with characters straight out of the funnies. There's one or the other of these keen prizes in every package of Pep. Just as if Pep's golden crispness and sunny flavor weren't a prize all by themselves. Why, Pep's so strictly terrific tasting that a bowl of those crunchy golden whole wheat flakes makes breakfast a regular fun feast. You get that catchy Pep flavor, and bingo, your spoon just naturally dips down on your dish for more. So for an all-round prize breakfast dish, ask Mom to get you a supply of Kellogg's Pep first thing tomorrow.
Now the adventures of Superman. Sam Robbins, a war veteran, has been accused of shooting Joe Martin, another veteran and his best friend, during a GI demonstration against Governor Wheeler, whom the veterans charge with practicing racial and religious discrimination in awarding state jobs. Although strong circumstantial evidence has been produced against Sam, Clark Kent believes he is the victim of a sinister plot by persons as yet unknown. Big George Latimer, the state political boss, who had first directed suspicion against Sam, became concerned when he learned that Joe Martin might recover and deny that Sam Robbins had shot him. And so, as we continue now, Lippy Williams, police reporter for the Metropolis Clarion, a sensational scandal newspaper, has arrived at the governor's office in response to an urgent summons from Latimer. As Governor Wheeler fidgets nervously in his chair, Big George Latimer addresses Williams. Listen.
I'll get this, Lippy. Here's the line I want you to take in the Clarion. Play it for all it's worth. Sam Robbins, a veteran, shot Joe Martin, another veteran, because he wanted to make trouble for the governor.
Now, wait a minute.
You stay out of this, please, Frank. I know what I'm doing. You follow me, Lippy?
Yeah, you said Robbins shot Martin to make trouble for the governor, but I don't get it.
Robbins figured the state troopers, whom the governor ordered to disperse the GIs, would be blamed for the shooting. It took place while the troopers were firing over the men's heads. So the rap would be pinned on Frank here, the governor. See?
Sure, I see that, but why should Robbins want to make trouble for Governor Wheeler?
Because Robbins is a foreigner. And that's what the foreigners want. To stir up a lot of trouble and then start a revolution to change the government.
Oh, you know that isn't true, George.
Will you stay out of this, Frank? Of course it isn't true. But if we make enough people believe it...
Just a minute, Mr. Latimer. You said Sam Robbins was a foreigner, but you're wrong. He was born right here in Metropolis.
So what? He's a Jew, isn't he?
Sure, but that's only his religion. That doesn't make him a foreigner.
That's what I've been trying to tell, George.
What's the matter with you two? Where are your brains?
Now, look, George, I have several Jewish
Shut
friends.
Up. Lippy, you're doing all right on the Clarion, aren't you?
Me? Sure, I'm doing swell. Some of the boys at the newspaper club look the other way when I come in because they don't like the smell of the Clarion, but I don't care. I make more dough than most of them.
And you want to go on making that dough, don't you?
What are you driving at, Mr. Latimer?
Just this. I have a great deal of influence at the Clarion.
Sure, I know you have.
And if I wanted to have you fired tomorrow, I could.
I guess you could. So what?
So I'm just reminding you that you're here to listen to me. Not to put up any argument.
Okay by me, Mr. Latimer. It's no skin off me what you say about the Jews or anybody else. I was just pointing out the facts.
Never mind the facts. I say the Jews are foreigners. And so are the Catholics and the Negroes. Everybody else who isn't a native-born white Protestant. That clear?
You sound like those guys who run around in sheets and hoods, but like I say, it's no skin off me. Only, what's the reason for all this, Mr. Latimer?
He wants to smear the veterans who are applying for state jobs by claiming they're led by what he calls foreigners.
That's right. By fellows like Sam Robbins, who shoot their best friend to get what they want.
Oh, so that's the gimmick. You want to get these job-hunting veterans off your neck so you can go on passing out all the soft jobs to your boys.
That's none of your business, Lippy.
Oh, that's why,
That's enough.
Oh, the governor isn't in on that, huh?
I'm not in on what? Look here. What are you two hiding from me?
Nothing, Frank.
I don't believe it. You admitted to me that you didn't see Sam Robbins pull a gun during the demonstration last night, but you told the police he did, and now Robbins is in jail. If Martin dies, Robbins will be tried for murder.
That's just the trouble. Martin may pull through. Say Robbins didn't shoot him. That's why I want the Clarion to go to town on this story. I want Robbins so dirtied up and all the other foreigners with him that even if Joe Martin does recover and says Robbins didn't shoot him, nobody will believe him.
Now, wait. I get it. You want Robbins tried on the front page of the Clarion and condemned before Joe Martin can get into the witness box and clear him.
Now you're using your head.
I refuse to be a party to a rotten deal like that. You listen to me, George Latimer. You may have been instrumental in having me elected governor.
May have been.
All right, your political machine did elect
I elected you. And I can break you. Don't forget that.
What do you mean?
Just try stepping on my toes, and you'll find out what I mean. Okay, Lippy. Get going. I want a story on the first page of the Clarion that'll set this state on its ears.
I'll give it to you if it's okay with my boss.
Don't worry about your boss. He'll do what I say.
I'm on my way. So long, fella.
Come into my office, Kent. I want to talk to you.
Okay, Chief.
Did you see the latest edition of the Clarion?
No, I didn't. I've been too busy. What now?
Oh, here. Read it.
Thanks. Joe Martin shooting a foreign plot. Radical veterans led by Sam Robbins scheme to force resignation of courageous Governor Wheeler.
Well, of all the... Go ahead. Go ahead, say it. Of all the dirty, lying, yellow journalism, this takes the cake.
Yes, it certainly does. Great Scott, Chief, calling Sam a foreigner, implying he shot Joe Martin as part of a foreign plot against our government. That'll stir up public opinion against Sam.
And against all the other veterans who want state jobs.
There's more to it than that, Chief.
What do you mean?
Well, in the first place, the Clarion is practicing an old and rotten strategy. To try an accused man in the press before his trial in court comes up, so that the public and prospective jurors are prejudiced.
I see what you mean.
Yes, and also, this looks to me like a deliberate attempt to fan the flames of religious and racial hatred. Clarion makes a great point here, the fact that Sam Robbins is a Jew and Joe Martin a Protestant.
No, I think that's only incidental.
No, I don't. Matter of fact, I think that... Great Scott.
Well, what now?
I just remembered something. Something that may be very important.
What?
Look, Chief, I was supposed to meet Ben Thompson, the lawyer we hired to defend Sam Robbins, at State Police Headquarters.
Yes?
Please call him, will you, and tell him I'll be late. As a matter of fact, I may not be there at all.
Well, why not? No, wait a minute. Where are you going?
The Clarion just gave me a lead. It may clean up this whole dirty mess before any more harm is done.
But wait.
So long, Chief. I'll see you later.
Leaving Editor Perry White shouting after him, Clark Kent hurries through the Daily Planet city room to the elevators. What is the important clue he says he has just found? We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by. Say, gang, from me to you, here's a tip. Whatever you do, give yourself plenty of time in the morning for breakfast so you don't have to rush eating your Kellogg's Pep. Why, it's so good that you want to get the full golden toasted flavor in every spoonful. Yes, sir, you don't want to skip one bit of fun of eating those crisp, catchy flakes of whole wheat. So tomorrow morning, just hitch up your chair and settle down to some mighty smooth eating with Pep, the Sunshine cereal. Is it delicate and light? Does it taste terrific? And do you get a swell surprise when you see the nifty prize in each Pep package? A real surprise of a prize. Could be you'll find a model fighting plane in colored cardboard, one of 7 great Pep planes you can collect. Or it could be you'll find one of 24 new full-color bird pictures with a description on the reverse side so you can identify these birds in the air. Or could be your next Pep prize will be one of 18 bright-colored comic buttons sporting a famous comic strip character like Orphan Annie or Moon Mullins or Superman himself. So start collecting all 3 kinds of those keen Pep prizes. Ask Mom to get you a supply of Kellogg's Pep from the grocer tomorrow. In an American Legion post not far from the Daily Planet building, 100 recently returned veterans of World War II were holding an angry meeting. Most of them had participated in the protest demonstration at the state capitol the preceding night. Now 2 of them, Eddie Kane and Bob Sloan, are on the platform. Kane holds a copy of the Metropolis Clarion aloft as he addresses his fellows.
What's cooking now, Eddie?
You all saw what the Clarion says about Sam Robbins and about us, didn't you? The Clarion says Sam is a foreigner. And it says most of us who were at the Capitol last night are foreigners.
So was I. That story was right here at home when Sam and the rest of us were doing his fighting.
Are we going to let them say this about us? Are we going to let them railroad Sam to the chair when we all know we didn't shoot Joe Martin? All you guys feel that way about it?
Okay. What are we going to do about it?
We'll do plenty. You said it! Same thing the GIs did in Tennessee when those dirty politicians down there tried to push them around. Now you're talking!
Wait a minute, fellas. Wait a minute. I guess we all feel the same way about this. So I move we march down to the state police barracks, all of us, and take Sam out of jail.
Leaping from their chairs, the veterans fall into columns of 4, march out of the Legion post behind Eddie Kane and Bob Sloan, and head for the barracks of the state police. Marching proudly, fully 100 grim-faced veterans march on toward the jail. And as they march, a flash of what is afoot comes over the teletype in the state capitol building and is immediately rushed to the office of Governor Wheeler, who reads it and pales. Quickly, he reaches for his telephone, dials the private number of Big George Latimer.
George, the veterans are marching on the state police barracks. What? Yes, I got the flash on the teletype from headquarters. They must be going to release Sam Robbins. What'll I do, George? What'll I do?
Why, nothing, of course.
Nothing? What do you mean? There'll be a riot. Men will be killed.
Sure they will. That's fine.
Fine? George, are you crazy?
Not at all. This is going to work out even better than I expected.
What?
That Clarion story must have done the trick.
But George...
Listen, Frank. Use your head. The veterans are taking the law into their own hands. That proves what we said in the Clarion. That they're hotheads. Led by foreigners who want to make trouble.
Oh, you mean...
I mean that after tonight we'll never have to worry about these veteran punks again. Or about Sam Robbins either. This is wonderful, Frank. Wonderful.
Chuckling, Big George Latimer, state political boss and man of hate, assures Governor Wheeler that the veterans who want only justice are cooking their own goose. And cooking it better than Latimer could ever cook it for them. What will happen at the state police barracks while Clark Kent, unaware of this latest and dangerous development, pursues a newly found clue which he hopes will clear Sam Robbins? Tomorrow's episode is swift and exciting, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comic Magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal. Say, gang, I know you know loads of famous names, so you're sure to know Kellogg, the greatest name in cereals. But do you know that swell breakfast treat, Kellogg Shredded Wheat? It's delicious. You see, Kellogg picks out finest whole wheat, toasts it to natural nut-sweet goodness. Kellogg packs 15 tender plump biscuits in every packet. And Kellogg sees to it that you get the grand nutrition of whole wheat in biscuits made to fit the bowl. Ask Mom to get you some Kellogg Shredded Wheat. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Tired from a strenuous weekend? Spring fever give you the wanderlust? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape.
You are hanging by your fingertips on the sheer face of an ice cliff, suspended 1,000 feet above instant death, with your strength running out, and with no chance for escape.
Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight, we escape to the cold loneliness of a glacier high in the Swiss Alps, and to a man who learned much about death, as told in C.E. Montague's grim story, Action. High in the Swiss Alps, well above 12,000 feet, a man clings with desperation to the frozen glass wall of the Chaliot Glacier. Hands and feet jammed into shallow steps chopped in iron-hard ice. A cold wind drives a spray of dusty sleet along the overhanging wall, and the sun has fallen away among the crags to the west. Darkness lies 1 hour ahead. The man has climbed with painful care 1,000 feet up the glacier's face from the broken moraine at the foot, and is moved now onto the underside of a great bulge in the ice, a part of the wall which breaks out beyond the perpendicular. And the man is forced to hang from slots cut by his axe, much as a sloth hangs from a tree branch. 12 more feet lie between him and the brow of the overhang. 6 more steps to be chopped out with the axe. And 1,000 feet of void space waits beneath him. The man is unable to lift his heavy axe for even one more stroke. He's tired, and he's 52 years old. No experienced mountaineer would ever attempt the west face of the Chaliot Glacier. And yet this man is an experienced mountaineer. But why? Why? What strange events have conspired to bring him along the path of his life and leave him hanging now in peril on the brink of eternity? Through what shadows has that path led him, and where are those who saw him pass? Can we ourselves move back along it, move back step by step against the river of time, move backward along the life path of Christopher Bell?
My name is Jean Valjour, and I am a guide for all the mountain trails on the Weisshorn and the Chaliorn. I talked with Mr. Bell this morning as he was leaving the village, though, of course, at the time I did not know that was his name. The season is over, you understand. Winter will come in another week or two, and most all the visitors are gone. So, you see, I was very surprised to hear a stranger call out to me in English.
Hello there.
Bonjour, monsieur. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Well, I'm glad to see there's at least one other early riser in the village besides myself.
Only a few people are left in the village, sir. It is the end of summer.
The end of summer. How well I know it. Oh, by the way, which of these paths takes me to the foot of the Chaliot?
The one on the left. But you will find no climbing there, sir. One arrives very soon at the glacier and can go no farther.
Except, of course, to climb up it.
The glacier? That is impossible. It has never been done.
Of course not. It's never been tried.
Well, there is not anyone who would be so foolish.
It isn't that. There are plenty of foolish people in the world. But even they hold on to their margin of safety.
Margin of safety?
Yes. The difference between the point where a man thinks he's reached his limit and the point where the limit really is.
Que diable racontez-vous? I'm afraid I do not understand this.
Oh, all right. Well, take a mountaineer, such as yourself. Now, you look at a slope. You estimate the effort needed to climb it. Then you estimate your own endurance. And if there isn't a good-sized safety factor, you just don't make the climb.
But it would be foolish not to do so.
Oh, yes, I dare say. It's all tied up in the fear of death. Take that out of a man for one instant, and there's no telling what he might be able to do, or what limit he might reach.
And how should a man lose that fear?
He can't. He can't lose it. Has to be done for him by things outside.
He turned and left me then, this Mr. Bell. Walked up the path toward the glacier. That was early this morning, and I did not see him again. His talk with me made no sense, and I could not understand what he meant to do or why he was going to do it. I remember thinking, what a strange man. But I know really nothing more about him. I believe he arrived in the village only last night and took a room in the Zinal Inn.
My name is Greta de Gaspar, and I'm staying out the week here in Zinal to close up the inn for the winter. I have known Mr. Bell for the last 30 years. Always before, he came in the summer season for the climbing, and I was most surprised when he arrived last night. I opened one of the rooms and found something for him to eat, and then later we sat and talked in front of the fire in a big empty lounge.
This is very good coffee, Madame Gaspar.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Bell. Had you let me know, I would have had everything ready for you, just like all the other times.
Like all other times, eh? But this one's a little different, Madame Gaspard. You might call it a special visit.
It is all so different now from the old days. Then it was you and your madame would come here. And it was Gaspard and I. And the summer seemed to last forever.
I thought everything would be forever when she was alive. Now I'm really alone in the world.
As I am. And it is not good to be alone. It gives one little reason for living. And makes one no longer afraid of dying.
Yes, but there are stronger reasons for that than just being alone.
Mr. Bell, you look so strange.
Hmm?
Is there something troubling you?
Why, no. Not now. Oh, there may have been, but not now. Well, I should be leaving quite early in the morning for a climb, so I think I'll go on to bed. Good night, Madame Gaspard.
Mr. Gaspard, I left the inn this morning before I wakened, and I have not seen him again. I have never known him to act so strange before. I have no idea what the reason is, or what he may be planning to do. But I'm sure something is troubling him. Perhaps it may be something connected with his business back in London.
My name is Matthew Bruff. I've been chief clerk in Mr. Bell's London office over the past 25 years. I've always found him to be a considerate and dependable employer. I've never noticed anything you might call unusual about him until one day about 3 weeks ago. Mr. Bell entered the establishment a bit late, as I recall, and passed immediately into his own office without acknowledging my customary greeting. A little while afterward, he sent for me.
Well, Matthew, where do we go from here?
I can't say that I follow you, Mr. Bell.
Well, I mean, the company's on a steady footing, so if we use our heads at all, we don't stand much chance of losing anything.
Our position is quite secure.
On the other hand, we can't expect to do any more growing. We're through expanding. From now on, it's just a matter of operation.
A most enviable condition, sir.
Is it? There's nothing more to look forward to, nothing more to work for. So, as I said, where do we go from here? Matthew, I'm putting you in charge of the business, turning it over to you, effective this week.
Mr. Bell, you can't possibly mean that.
Oh, yes. I've just decided.
But what are you going to do?
I'm taking a trip. I'm going to Switzerland. Climb a mountain.
Oh? Oh, well, then, at least it's only temporary, just for whatever time you're gone.
That's right. It's for whatever time I'm gone. Just for whatever time I'm gone.
Before the end of the week, he had arranged all the necessary papers and had left London. I haven't heard a word from him since, though I presume he's somewhere in Switzerland. Actually, however, I haven't the faintest idea where Mr. Bell may be right at this moment.
Minutes pass on the glacier, and the shadows grow longer from the jagged peaks to the west of the Chaliot Glacier, and reach out with dark fingers toward the man who clings to the icy wall, while his pounding heart beats out the number of his time on Earth. Already those shadows have flowed into the awful depths below his swaying figure, blurring the sharp points of the tumbled rocks 1,000 feet down, and making the harsh void seem soft and inviting. The man's thoughts have grown as unwieldy as the heavy ice axe gripped in his hand. He keeps trying to remember that he is Christopher Bell, a human being, and not a part of this free and empty space. For he knows if he stops remembering that, he may forget all else too, and then let go.
There's been no reason for trying to locate Mr. Bell, since nothing of any importance has occurred during these 3 weeks. I'm sure he's quite all right. Only, one thing still puzzles me a bit. The remarkable change in him on that morning 3 weeks ago. I never heard him talk like that before. And whatever the reason for it, I'm quite sure it was something that happened that morning before he came to the office.
My name is John Huxford, and I've been a conductor on the Westminster route for some 14 years now. And during all that time, Mr. Bell has been a daily passenger of mine on the early morning inbound run. As I recall it, the first time anything you might say out of the way ever happened between us was one morning about 3 weeks ago. I saw Mr. Bell waiting at the usual place, so I signalled to the driver to stop. Oh, good morning, Mr. Bell.
Good morning. I'll be right there.
Here now, let me come down and help you, sir.
I'll make it. If you just take my arm, Mr. Huxford. My arm, please.
But I have taken your arm, Mr. Bell.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry.
Up we go now. There you are, sir.
Thank you. I had a bit of a shock this morning. I'm all right now.
Well, if it's all right now, that's fine, I say. Now, take hold of the strap there now.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, let me see. I have the fare here somewhere. Oh, yes, here you are.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you. I'm afraid you brought something home to mind.
I don't understand what you mean, sir.
Well, Mr. Huxford, have you ever had anyone take your arm and help you up a flight of steps?
No, and I might say that I hope the day never comes when I... well, I'm sorry, sir.
Not at all. Thank you, Mr. Huxford. Thank you very much.
I don't rightly know what was wrong with him, though it's certain that something was. I haven't seen him for nearly 3 weeks now. I can't imagine what it might have been what happened to him that morning before he got on the bus.
My name is Jenkins. I've been Mr. Bell's personal valet for the past 12 years and 7 months. The master's travelling somewhere on the continent just at present. Been gone something over 2 weeks now. Decided rather suddenly, I believe. In fact, I rather think something happened one morning about 3 weeks ago that caused him to make up his mind, though I really haven't the faintest idea what it might have been. I can remember noticing a very strange look on his face when he came down to breakfast that morning, but thought nothing of it at the time.
Good morning, Jenkins.
Good morning, sir. I trust you had a pleasant night's rest.
Yes, I did, thanks, Jenkins.
Having the usual orange juice, toast, and tea?
No, I want nothing except some coffee.
Very well, sir. I'll bring it right away.
I can't let him find out. I can't let anyone find out about it. Maybe it's a little better now. Maybe it's going away. Maybe I'm giving it too much importance, but... No, it's still there. That same lack of feeling clear down the whole right side of my body. There. I can move my arm and leg all right. There's no feeling in them. They're numb. It's simply that at 52 years of age, I've had a light stroke.
Your coffee, sir.
Oh, thank you, Jenkins.
Would you care for something more, sir?
No, that's all.
If you'll pardon me, sir, you don't seem quite yourself this morning. I do hope you're not ill.
No, I'm all right, Jenkins.
I hope you won't mind my saying this, Mr. Bell, but you don't take very good care of yourself anymore.
Oh, please.
It's been years now since you had a checkup, not since the mistress passed away, in fact.
I'm quite all right, Jenkins. I'm quite all right.
Yes, sir. I'm relieved to hear it, sir. I'll bring your paper now, sir.
Good Lord. Is this what a man slaves his life away for? To end up helpless, dependent on others? To be wheeled about, put out in the sun, taken in like some great fat lava? That's disgusting.
Pardon me, sir. I didn't quite hear you.
Oh, nothing, Jenkins.
Here's your paper, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Please call if you need anything else, sir. I'll be in the pantry.
I couldn't go on that way. I'd rather not go on. I've got to face it. This stroke is the first warning. There'll be others, worse ones. And in a short time, I'll be helpless. There must be some way out. Not suicide, but some way. There's got to be some way.
The icy wall hardens into cold, vitreous steel as the dust-born shadows chill its surface. The merciless ice is beginning to freeze the cramped joints of the man's fingers now, and the heavy axe swings idly at his belt, tracing a fumbling pattern on the thin air of the void. How much longer can he cling to those slots in the glacier's face? How much longer does he have to live? 30 seconds? A minute? What's the margin of safety now? And what does a man think of while his pulse beats slower and he waits to die?
Strange how I'm able to go on, hanging to this slope, clinging on to life. And I can't feel another ounce of strength left in me. Strange, too, how it seems I could stay here forever, becoming part of the glacier itself, looking down at the rocks below and out across the peaks and the ice. I was right. Dying isn't so bad, really. Not when it's like this. Rather pleasant, in fact. It looks so soft down there. The shadows and the snow. The wind. Perhaps I could let go. Float out on the wind like an eagle. Or be blown along by it like drifting snow. Well, the sun's gone now. It will be full dark in a few minutes. Maybe I can hold on that long. Till everything is dark. Even the snow and the ice. And who knows? Perhaps I'll watch the sunrise tomorrow and set again. And even beyond. Oh, no. I can't last even one full minute longer. I'm through. I'm finished. I can't even last a half. Huh? Chips of ice sliding over the edge. It's funny how a glacier sheds off that way. I suppose the difference in temperature between day and... Oh, wait. An ice axe. That was an axe. No other sound in the world like it. Fell from up above the overhang there. There must be somebody up there on the slope. Coming down from the top. Hello! There he is. Wait. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Hello!
That's a mountaineer's call for help. Someone's dropped his axe and he's in trouble up there. It's right above this bulge. If I can only... No, my throat's too dry. Well, 6 more steps to cut to reach the edge there. All right. 6 more steps. I was done in. I was finished. And now... 5 more steps. Just about does it. Last step.
Ted, cut the rope and let me go. There's no use of it.
Good Lord, it's a woman. And there's a man upon the slope. Hold on up there.
What?
I'll be with you in a minute.
Ted, somebody's coming. There's someone down here.
Over the edge. Take it easy there. Everything's going to be all right.
Oh, thank heaven. I don't know where you came from, but thank heaven you're here.
Yeah, easy now. Let's get a step out for your feet. I'm just below the overhang there. I heard the fellow up above call out. He's got quite a voice on him.
It's my husband. Please hurry.
Easy now. I'll step out here in a second. You can put your feet on it. You get your breath. Then we'll tackle the slope.
All right.
And I'll scrape this ice away. Easy now. There. Oh, that's better, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you're all right now. Just lean there. When you feel like it, we'll go on up. Oh, my name is Christopher Bell, by the way.
I'm Anna Gerland.
How do you do?
Thank you. I thought we were done. I was cutting steps down ahead on the slope, and I slipped and dropped my axe. The rope held me, but neither of us dared to move.
Yes. Well, you're all right now. As soon as you rest up a minute, we'll cut some more steps back up the slope. Oh, you should have started down this way. You've never been able to pass that bulge.
Yes, I can see that now. Of course, it's harder to tell when you're moving down the slope.
Yes, I suppose it is.
You were coming up the slope, weren't you?
Yes, I came up from the foot.
Alone and without a rope. And you deliberately climb onto the underside of an overhanging wall.
Well, let's just say we're both foolhardy.
Is that what you call it?
If you've got your breath back now, I suppose we start up the slope. Oh, here. I'd like to take my axe and cut the first step.
You trust me with it? After I dropped my own?
Oh, anybody could make a mistake like that, dropping an axe. Or climbing up under an overhang.
My name is Theodore Gurn. I am the husband of the woman who slipped and fell on the wall of the glacier. I'm a physician, formerly of Harley Street, London, though I've practiced in Paris for several years now. I met Mr. Bell when he and my wife reached the ice ledge where I stood waiting above them. I was not immediately aware of his trouble, but found out about it a short time later when we reached the rest hut at the top of the ridge. While my wife heated water for tea at the far side of the room, Bell and I fell into a much more personal conversation than strangers normally do. But this sometimes happens when people have been very close to death.
At any rate, Dr. Gerlin, you can see how it is. The life of an invalid doesn't seem very appealing.
Tell me something, Mr. Bell.
Huh?
I gather you were pretty well done in when I called out on the glacier. You couldn't lift a hand. Then how do you account for being able to chop 6 steps into that ice in a matter of some 5 minutes?
I don't know exactly. I was through. I couldn't have lasted 30 seconds more. But when I realized someone was in danger, I don't know, I forgot about it.
And this numbness, this lack of feeling in your right side, it didn't bother you?
No, I didn't notice. It isn't quite so bad now, as a matter of fact.
And there's your answer, Mr. Bell.
I don't believe I follow.
Action. When you were in action, working because you had a reason, living because you had to, because somebody was depending on you, then you were all right. Everything was back in its place again.
Oh, perhaps, but a man can't spend all his time climbing up a mountain to save someone's life.
Oh, I don't mean physical action, movement. Call it incentive, if you like. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Incentive, eh?
That's right. It's the one top pressure that keeps life moving and growing. And it's what you need.
Well, it's an interesting theory, Doctor.
But it's only a theory, eh?
I'll have the tea ready in a moment. Is anybody interested?
I am, my dear. Lucky we brought it.
If no one minds, I believe I'll have a turn outside while we're waiting.
Of course not. Only be careful out there in the dark. The ridge breaks off pretty sharply here.
Oh, yes, I'll be careful. Oh, Dr. Gerlin.
Yes?
If things were turned around, I wonder if it would be any more than just a theory to you.
Mr. Bell, where are you?
I'm over here, Mrs. Gerlin.
Beautiful, isn't it? With the stars so clear and bright.
Yes. Well, there won't be any more clear nights before the winter storms.
It would be a shame to give it up, you and I.
What do you mean?
I've got to say this quickly, because I don't want my husband to know. We're not the kind who commit suicide, you and I. But I think we understand each other.
Well, you'll have to say more than that.
You deliberately climbed into a dead end out on that glacier. Deliberately extended your safety margin beyond all possible limits, didn't you?
What do you mean, we understand each other?
Because I did the same thing. I went ahead. I picked that route down the slope.
But
No, please wait. In 30 seconds, I would have cut myself loose from that rope. Oh, we went to an awful lot of trouble so we wouldn't have to call it suicide, didn't we?
You? But why?
I have a brain condition. There's no point in going into it, but it's incurable. And sooner or later, at any moment, I shall go blind.
Oh, no.
My husband doesn't know about it, and I don't want him to. Mr. Bell.
Yes?
I'll make a bargain with you.
What sort of bargain?
I'm not brave, really. To go on living, I need something to cling to. I need to know all the time that there's someone else with courage, too. Mr. Bell, I'll go on living if you will.
I'd say you're amazingly brave.
If I were, I could do it alone, without having to make myself dependent on you and your courage.
But that sort of thing could work both ways. I wouldn't dare let you down.
Nor could I you. Do you want to make the bargain? Shall we go on living, Mr. Bell?
As I said before, I am Dr. Theodore Gerlin, and I met Mr. Bell some 3 hours ago on the Shalioch Glacier. At the moment, he's outside the hut a few yards away talking to my wife. I can hear the sound of their voices, but I can't make out the words. However, I know what they're talking about. What his answer would be. My wife and I discussed that before she went out to join him. You may have heard of my wife, incidentally, though it would likely have been under the stage name she uses in the Paris theater. You see, she's quite a talented actress.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, and tonight brought you Action by C.E. Montague, adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, and featuring Joseph Kearns as Christopher Bell and Eric Rolfe as the voice, with Louis Van Rooten as Dr. Golan, Marta Mitrovich as Greta, Jeff Corey as Bruff, Ray Lawrence as Huxford, Barry Kroger as Jenkins, and Joan Banks as Mrs. Golan. The musical score was conceived and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Next week.
You are in mid-ocean, aboard a Jinx ship. Already 3 men have died, and you know that some malignant force is aimed at you, and you cannot escape.
Next week, Escape with Joseph Conrad's great story, The Brute. Good night, then, until the same time next week, when we again offer you Escape. This is CBS, where 99 million people gather every week, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Tom Corbett. Hey, Cadet!
Stand by to raise shift. Blast off -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
As roaring rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Roaring out of the blackness of the void and circling the planet Mars, the rocket cruiser Polaris completes the first half of a training flight which will prove conclusively whether Astro is a victim of space fever, the most dreaded disease of all spacemen, a disease that will ground the man forever, keep him from ever flying a rocket ship again. Now, as the spaceship is secured on the landing ramp at Marsport, Captain Strong calls his crew to the control deck.
All right, cadets, you can have 4 hours liberty. It'll take the maintenance crew at least that long to repair the Polaris.
Liberty? Oh, brother, just what I was hoping for.
But only 4 hours, Cadet Manning, not a second longer.
Aye, aye, Captain Strong.
You boys can blast off any time you wish. I'll stay on the ship with the maintenance crew.
4 hours, that's a lifetime. Here's where the Martian dolls get a break. How do I look, Tom? Repulsive, as usual. I like you, too, Junior. See you later.
Hey, Manning, you mind if I come with you?
Sure, Harvey. You can watch the master operate.
Okay. So long, Tom. I'll be seeing you.
So long, Harvey. You know, Astro, that Harvey isn't a bad guy at all. He was right on the ball when the fire broke out.
Yeah, sure. A real hot shot.
Well, don't take it out on him, Astro. He had nothing to do with replacing you in the unit. Say, have you any plans for this liberty?
Why, Tom? Has Captain Strong told you to keep an eye on me?
Say, what's eating you? You're acting like a spoiled kid. I'm on your side, Astro, remember?
Thanks. But if you don't mind, I'll work things out in my own way. And I don't need any help from you, nursemaid.
Hey, you guys, better step on it. Captain Strong's almost ready to blast off. Get into your fatigue. Okay, don't rush me, Tom. There's plenty of time. Enjoy your liberty, Harvey.
Oh, I sure did.
Hey, what about Astro? You fellas see anything of him?
No, not me, Tom.
Me either. I hope he's all right. Be great if he misses blast off. That'll be his finish.
You'd kind of like that, wouldn't you, Manny?
Huh? Astro, I was getting worried about you.
Why don't you mind your own business? I'm doing all right by myself.
Attention all hands. The repairs to the Polaris are completed. We raise ship in 5 minutes. Take your stations.
Jupiter, I better hurry. Astro, you better get into your fatigue. You haven't got much time.
That can wait. I'm going up to the control deck. There are a few things I want to straighten out with Captain Strong.
Huh. I wonder what he's up to now. I don't know. But that 4-hour liberty didn't seem to help his disposition any.
Captain Strong?
Huh? Oh, Astro. What are you doing here? You'd better get topside. We raise ship in 5 minutes.
And I'm still a passenger.
I'm afraid so, Astro.
But I came through the last trip without any trouble. Why can't I join the crew now?
Sorry. Your test period isn't over yet.
How long is this test period? Forever?
Now, listen, Astro. I'm getting a little tired of your belligerent attitude. When I think you're ready for duty, I'll let you know. Now, will you please stop bothering me?
Very well, sir. Then I guess this is as good a time as any to let you know. As soon as we get back to Earth, I'm resigning from Space Academy.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by. Spaceman, if you want to talk about rocket ship power, then the man to talk to is somebody like Tom Corbett. He knows plenty about those rocket ship burners. Why, just the other day, he was...
Then to turn the ship, you set the steering vanes inside the rocket tubes and just give the steering rockets a little old blast. Just like that. You know, the cadets need energy, just like a rocket ship does. That's why we help ourselves to plenty of Kellogg's Pep at breakfast time. Then, when we have to turn out for action afterwards, we've got a supply of food energy to call on. Pep gives you the kind of food values a spaceman needs to build strong bones, strong muscle, and healthy teeth. So if you spacemen out there are thinking of joining up at the Academy someday, why, I'd sure suggest that you start eating plenty of Kellogg's Pep, starting tomorrow morning.
That's right, Tom. For build-up food values, and don't forget that swell flavor, too. The cereal you want is Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep. Returning to the Polaris after 4 hours' liberty on the planet Mars, Astro has made an important decision. Now, as the powerful rocket ship is prepared for a blast-off, he reports to the control deck to inform Captain Strong.
That's what I said, sir. As soon as we return to Earth, I'm resigning from Space Academy.
Resigning? Now, wait, Astro. Why don't you think about this a little more?
Well, during the past couple of days, sir, I've thought of nothing else.
I see.
We're ready to blast off, sir. Cadet Harvey's standing by on the power deck. I'll have the radar bridge warmed up and 2 shakes of the Spacebug's antenna, sir.
Oh, very well, cadets, but before you take your stations, I think I'd better tell you that your shipmate, Astro, intends to resign from the Academy.
Astro, you're kidding.
This is nothing to kid about, Tom.
Wow, now I've heard everything. Mr. Space Academy himself, the guy who waved the flag at me every time I opened my mouth about the Academy. Now he's quitting.
That's enough, Manning. One more crack out of you and you'll make this trip in the brig. Now take your station.
Aye, aye, sir.
Astro, we won't discuss this anymore right now. You better go to your bunk and secure yourself for blast-off.
Look, sir.
Yes?
I don't want you to think that I'm a... Well, never mind, sir.
All right. Strap in, Tom.
He's just rattled, Captain Strong. He's been taking a beating ever since the day he blacked out. He didn't really mean what he said.
I think he did, Tom. Well, there's no time to discuss it now. Attention, crew. Prepare to raise ship. Power deck, check in. Full report.
Power deck, aye. Rocket head temperature's normal. Holding standard space speed.
Radar bridge, check in.
Radar bridge, aye. Have cleared Mars orbit, level 3. Just in time, sir. There's quite a storm down there.
Are we on orbit to Earth?
Dead on, sir.
Very well. You come down and relieve Corbett at the controls.
Me?
This is still a training flight, Manning. Get down here.
Aye, aye, sir.
Now, Tom. Sir? You take over on the radar bridge. You can use the astrogation experience.
Glad of the chance, sir.
I'll go below and see how Harvey handles himself. Tom, if Astro leaves his bunk, send him down to me, will you?
Are you going to talk to him, sir?
I'll try my best. See you later.
Okay, Junior, you're relieved. Let a real space pilot take over.
Okay, Hotshot. I'm handling the radar bridge.
Radar bridge? How about going to see your pal, Astro? You can hold his hand.
Why don't you lay off him, Roger? Do you have to needle him every time you see him?
What's the matter? Can he take it?
He's taken enough, and too much from you.
All right, go on. Blast off.
You just keep your jets plugged.
Yeah. Everybody's getting so blasted sensitive around here.
Hey, Manny, where's Captain Strong?
Why, Mr. Astro, isn't your cabin comfortable? What are you doing here? Maybe you'd like the royal suite.
I asked you where Captain Strong is.
He went below. You must have just missed him.
Thanks.
What do you want him for, anyway? To cry on his shoulder?
I'll write you a letter.
Yeah? You know how to spell the word quitter?
Well, you crummy little
spaceworm. Careful, Astro. You're liable to black out again. But this time it won't be from space fever.
I'll give you space fever, you...
Astro, Manning, break it up, I said.
Sorry, sir. I started.
I don't care who started it. I won't tolerate fighting on my ship. Manning, I'm logging you for this. And as for you, Astro, if you don't take that chip off your shoulder, you'll be confined to quarters for the rest of the trip.
Yes, sir.
Now, pick up that intercom, Manning.
Yes, sir. Control deck, go ahead.
Roger, this is Tom. I've been taking readings of the sun with the infrared octant. And something funny is happening out there. I found a sunspot that must be at least 300,000 miles in diameter.
300,000 miles? You're space happy, Tom.
Maybe I am. I'm not the astrogator you are, but my figures aren't that far off. Not only that, but the spot seems to be growing bigger all the time.
You'd better get up there and check that, Manning.
Okay, sir, but Corbett must be seeing spots in front of his eyes.
I hope so, because if he's right, we're running into serious trouble.
Radar bridge control deck. Corbet's figures checked. Also, I've just received communication from Space Academy that the sunspot is sending shockwaves through the solar system. We're in for a space storm.
Attention all hands. Now hear this. We're on our way back to Marsport. Break out your spacesuits and magnetic traction boots and have them near you at all times. I want you to be prepared for any emergency.
Our gyro stabilizer's out.
Hang on. I'll try to control the ship manually. Oh, there. Yeah, that's better. Anyone hurt?
Okay, here, sir.
No damage topside, sir.
Harvey, are you all right?
Just a couple of bumps. That's all, sir.
Now listen, everybody. Our automatic pilot is out. We'll have to operate this ship manually. If the sunspots don't give us any further trouble, we'll manage.
I'll cut her down to half space speed, sir. We may ride easier that way.
It's a good idea, Tom. I'm going below to check the power plant. And tell Astro to come down to the control deck. He'll be safer here.
Aye, aye, sir. Astro, check in. Astro, come in.
What are you blasting your jets about, Tom?
Oh, Astro, I was just trying to get a hold of you. Captain Strong wants you to stay down here.
Okay, so I'm here. Listen, Roger called me a quitter. Do you think I'm a quitter?
Of course not. But why do you want to resign from the academy?
Can't you see what it'd be like if I were grounded? Me nailed to a desk, lorded over by guys like Manning? Tom, I'm a spaceman.
Aren't you a little ahead of yourself, Astro? No one said you had space fever.
Oh, I'm no fool. I can see which way the wind is blowing. Look at this setup. We're in trouble. If the power plant goes before we can get back to Mars, we'll be helpless. But Captain Strong won't even let me get near it. I'm a passenger, just so much dead weight.
Control deck, go ahead.
We're in landing orbit to Marsport, Junior. Get ready.
Okay, Roger. I'll get the skipper up. Control deck to power deck.
Power deck aye. Captain Strong here.
We're approaching Marsport, sir. Ready to land.
Okay, I'll be right up. Oh, hey, wait a minute. The lights are flickering.
And here, too, sir.
Well, I better stay down here. This power plant may go any minute.
Give me that intercom, Tom. Captain Strong, this is Astro. I can help Harvey on the power deck if you want me to.
No, Astro, stay where you are.
Very well.
Corbett, can you handle the landing yourself?
I'm sure I can, sir.
Right, then don't spare the neutrons. We want to get down in a hurry.
Hey, Roger, come in. Give me our heading to...
Hold it a minute, Tom. I was just going to call you. Take a look through the viewport toward Ursa Minor. Get a load of what's coming at us.
Great galaxy. It looks like a space cyclone.
Cyclone in space? You're off your orbit, Tom.
It must be, Astro. That sunspot probably tore some solar atmosphere away. We've got to land before that cyclone hits us and blows us clear out of the universe.
Attention, crew. I'm firing those rockets to start our descent, and I'm not braking the ship until we get to 10,000 feet. Corbett, it's up to you to hold us left.
Aye, aye, sir.
Stand by. We're going in.
Astro, sit here and give me altitude readings.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, right, Tom. Down to 150,000 feet. Look at that cyclone come on.
I don't see how it can miss us.
It isn't going to, fellas. Brace yourselves.
Wow, this is fierce. Are we dropping at all, Astro?
We're at 100,000 feet, but we're being blown way off course.
Roger, what's our position?
The only thing I can tell you is we're still over Mars, but who knows where?
75,000 feet. How in blazes can you hold the ship steady, Tom?
Believe me, Astro, it isn't easy. Take that, will you?
Right. Control that guy.
Hello, Corbett.
Well, this is Astro, sir.
Astro, what are you doing there?
Tom needed help.
All right. Tell him our power is going fast. Just pray it'll last until we land. If our power goes and we can't fire our braking rocket...
Got it, sir. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
20,000 feet.
Hang on, Astro. Captain Strong, prepare to blast braking rockets.
15,000 feet. 14. 13. 12. 11.
Blast braking rockets full.
Braking rockets full. Start praying, boys.
I don't know where we're landing, sir. We can't see a thing.
It's too late to worry about that. Just hope we land right side up and on some solid ground.
Down to 1,000 feet. We aren't slowing up enough.
Attention, all stations. Brace for crash landing. Brace for crash landing.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment, so stand by. Spaceman, do you have a complete collection of magic moving picture eyes? You know, you can get 16 different magic eyes altogether, each one jam-packed with exciting action. And say, if you get two of a kind, you can always trade them with your friends for the ones you don't have. Look for the magic eye that shows you Clyde Beatty, the famous animal trainer. And there's another magic eye with an action picture of a Douglas jet plane. Yes, get all 16 magic eyes. They make swell decorations for belts, hats, and jackets. And remember, you don't mail in for them. You don't even have to wait for them. You get a magic eye free at no extra cost in every package of Kellogg's Pep. That's just about the best bargain you ever had a chance at. A delicious whole wheat cereal with a tempting malty-rich flavor and a magic eye besides. Start your collection today. Get magic eye pictures of trains, planes, movie stars, and sports stars. You'll see them all on a magic eye. And just remember, you get another magic eye free at no extra cost in every package of Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
When a gigantic sunspot sends powerful shock waves throughout the solar system, the rocket cruiser Polaris is caught in a space cyclone. Returning to Mars with its power plant failing fast and visibility zero, the spaceship crash lands somewhere on the surface of the red planet.
Astro, you're right.
I think so, Tom. At least I seem to be able to move everything.
Well, we've landed anyway, and we're still alive. Better see how the others made out.
Hey, the intercom is out.
I'm not surprised. Roger, are you all right?
Sure, no thanks to you. I'll bet Harvey could have landed this crate better.
Well, it's easy to see you're all right.
Roger.
What are you so excited about, Harvey?
Captain Strong is hurt. He's pinned down by one of the reaction tanks, and I can't move it.
Well, come on, let's get down there. All right, fellas, together now. Lift that.
Captain Strong's unconscious. He needs medical care, and in a hurry.
Where are we, anyway? I'll go get a medic.
That's going to be real easy. We've landed smack in the middle of the Martian desert.
Well, here's the bad news, fellas. It'll take hours to get our communication system working. Not only that, our hull is sprung. We've lost our reaction mass, and we're completely without power.
That's great. We're nothing but a dead piece of space junk in the middle of the Martian desert.
If we only knew where those Martian oxygen booster plants are located in this desert, we could get help.
Yeah, but where are you going to look?
I'll go out and try to find one.
Well, thanks, Harvey. I'm afraid we'll all have to go and try it in different directions.
What about Captain Strong?
Astro will have to stay here with him.
Why me, Tom?
Well, that's the way Captain Strong would have wanted it. Besides, Astro, this is a big responsibility.
Yeah, I know.
Well, let's get out of there, fellas. And keep your communicators open.
Don't worry, Astro, my boy. Even with space fever, you can always be a nurse.
Hello, Harvey. Check in. Any luck?
No, not a bit, Tom. There isn't a sign of anything but sand as far as I can see.
All right, keep looking. How about you, Roger? What have you to report?
What have I to report? I've swallowed about 2 tons of sand. I feel like a tropical beast.
Cut it, Rog. Any sign of help?
No, and if you ask me, this is the most space-happy thing we've done yet.
No one's asking you. Keep looking. Astro, come in. How's the skipper?
No change. He's in pretty bad shape.
I'll do what you can for him, Astro. We're going to move farther out into the desert.
Tom. Hey, Corbett, come in.
Yeah. What is it, Harvey?
This wind is too much for me. I can't see a thing.
I know, Harvey. I'm having the same trouble. How are you doing, Roger?
I'm beat. This wind's blowing like 60, and it's hot as a furnace. Besides, I can't see. The sand's worse than the fog.
All right, I guess there's no use continuing now. We'll have to go back to the ship until this sandstorm blows over.
No sign of Roger, Tom. Astro and I have been watching for him at the airlock. Doesn't even answer us on the communicator.
Blasted. He's had more than enough time to get back to the Polaris.
I want me to go out and look for him?
No, you'll never find him in that sandstorm, Harvey. You'll only get lost yourself. Just stay with Astro at the entrance port and keep trying to contact him.
All right, Tom. Hey, how about Captain Strong? Will you stick with him?
Yes, he seems to be a little better now. Maybe he'll come out of it soon.
Oh, I hope so. Hey, what in blazes? Tom, Astro's disappeared.
What?
He isn't here. He must have gone out to look for Roger.
Why, the space-happy idiot. He'll never find Roger, and we'll be lucky if we ever find him.
It's no use. Isn't even a footprint. Sand has covered everything.
They must be out here somewhere, Harvey. They couldn't have gotten very far. I'm going to keep looking until I find them.
Stick with you, Tom.
Well, come on. Spread out a little more.
The sand is hot.
Yeah.
It's tough walking up and down these dunes.
Yeah, it sure is. When I think of...
Tom, be careful. You hurt yourself?
No, I just stepped in a soft spot and Hey, Harvey, come over here, quick. I found them. I found them! Captain Strong, it was sheer luck that I tripped over them. They were covered by at least a foot of sand.
You were no luckier than I was to find Roger, Tom.
I guess I was the luckiest. I don't even remember what happened. I was trying to get back to the Polaris, and it was like bucking a wall of wind and sand. The next thing I knew, this Venusian ape was bending over me, and I thought I was having a nightmare.
Well, all I can say, Astro, for a fellow who's supposed to have space fever, you showed tremendous presence of mind and quick action. If it weren't for those oxygen masks and that cover, neither of you would be here now.
I've got the radio working, Captain Strong. I've contacted the oxygen booster station here. They're sending over a first aid crew.
Thank you, Harvey. Well, we'll be getting back to Marsport soon, and then home to Space Academy.
Captain Strong, while I was under that blanket of sand with the wind howling over us and not knowing if I'd ever leave this Martian desert, I had plenty of time to think things over.
Yes, Astro?
Well, I've made up my mind that no matter what the doctors decide, I'll stay at the Academy.
Even if it means becoming an earthworm and flying at desk?
Yes, sir. Even that.
Well, after what you went through today, I'm pretty sure your examinations will prove that you never had space fever.
And, Astro.
Yeah, Roger?
I'm not good at saying these things, but... Oh, blast it, I'm sorry.
Oh, skip it, Raj.
Say, Astro, how did you find Roger, anyhow?
It was a cinch, Harvey. While I was wandering around on the desert, all of a sudden there was so much wind and hot air around me, I knew he had to be near.
Don't miss the next action-packed adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, on Tuesday, when a nearly fatal explosion sends the crew of the Polaris rocketing through the void in search of a missing ship in the strange mystery of the Asteroid of Danger. Tune in, same time, same station on Tuesday for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal. Tom Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in the cast are Jan Merlin, Al Markham, Edward Bryce, and Jack Grimes. Today's program was written by Jack Weinstock and Willie Gilbert, directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
And what a secret! In Kellogg's Raisin Bran, the tasty raisins are dipped in honeycomb. That means plumper, more tender raisins, along with delicious golden crisp bran flakes. Both fruit and cereal, all in one box. And no other raisin bran but Kellogg's gives you the tender goodness of raisins dipped in honeycomb. That's Kellogg's secret. So for your breakfast, make sure you get Kellogg's, because
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
This program came to you from New York. America is sold on ABC, the American Broadcasting